Today, I'm going to be showing you inside an industry that is selling as much as $500,000 a day or more. And that's just the resale value of these things we're talking about today. And if you haven't guessed it, we're talking about the domain flipping industry. If you were to look on YouTube for domain flipping, you're going to see all kinds of videos from people saying they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars flipping domains for $22, $22,000, and on we go. A lot of people are saying they're making a lot of money, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the truth and show you exactly what's going on. I myself have been buying and selling domains for the better part of 25 years, and I brought a special guest today, Joe, who's been doing this for 2 or 3 years. He actually went through one of my domain classes a couple years ago. He's been buying and selling these profitably, and what we're going to do is we're going to show you from someone who's been doing this new in the age of AI, and someone who's been doing this since the dawn of time in internet years, and show you exactly what you need to know and what you're getting into. And not only that, what domains do we buy that are going to be the most profitable versus what are the ones that aren't? Because far too many people who get into domain buying, they buy this gigantic portfolio of things that look good, and they're stuck with a bunch of registration fees, and they eventually go out of business because it's not sustainable, and they bought things that look good, not things that are good. We're going to talk to you about how to know why a domain is good. There's 2 reasons. 1, the obvious reason, is it a good sounding name? And 2, a little less known way that we value domains and look at them in terms of profit. So this is super important. We're going to go line by line. We're going to show you everything you need to know and even talk to you about some of our wins, some of our failures, and some of the things a lot of people do that doesn't work. So if you're excited to learn about the domain industry start to finish with everything laid out so you know what you're getting into, smash the like button, because we're going to lay it out step by step so nothing is left out. Come on, let's go to work. All right, so here is Joe, one of my students who's been doing domaining for like 2 years. How you doing?
Great. Hey, Marcus, thanks for having me here today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, let's go through this line by line. Obviously, we know this is a big market. You've sold, what, $30,000 worth of domains?
Sold between $30,000 $35,000 worth of domains with total cost out of pocket over the 3 years, about $15,000.
Okay, so like 10 grand a year in sales, something like that, and like 5,000 a year in cost. So nothing huge, but hey, an extra 5 grand a year, that's pretty cool. Now, what are some of your big wins? Like, what was the one you sold for the most?
Currently, the top dog has been a domain in the timeline niche.
Okay, interesting.
For about $5,500.
$5,500, and what did you pay for that?
That one I paid $300.
$300, okay, not bad. I've had quite a few like that. Surprisingly, I've found this, I don't know if you found this to be the case, the ones that I buy for the cheapest, like what we call hand reg, where you literally buy it expired or just an idea where nobody has registered it before or it's available for like $9, those have been the ones that I've gotten the most money out of, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely, I've had a couple big wins like that too.
Excellent. So we're going to talk about everything. We got some big stories. We're going to show you exactly what's going on. I was reading a case study of a guy who bought one for $48,000, which is, that's kind of risky, right? But he sold it for $8 million. Now, before we go any further, obviously we need a big disclaimer. The results you're going to hear are not typical, implied, or guaranteed. Well, I've sold a lot of domains, Joe has sold some domains, and many other people have done this for a living. The vast majority of people that try to make money online make nothing. However, we need to look at this because this is a little bit different of an industry where the guy who bought the domain for 48 grand, while on paper it looks like the easiest risk of all time, there's always a risk. There is a risk he could have lost his $48,000. There's a risk when I buy a $9 domain that I'm going to end up with a bill for $9 and no profit. So we got to look at this with a fine-tooth comb and understand what's going on. Now, I myself run a full domain buying and selling business. Currently, we have about $60,000 a year we are paying just to re-register those. So we're going to look at this. Joe has registration fees as well where, you know, we're looking at it and I think you're up to what, a couple $1,000s a year just in reg fees.
Yes, easily. And that's one of the pitfalls that you could fall into. If you don't flip these domains quickly, or within the year, you're going to be facing a lot of registration fees going forward.
Yeah, and that's something we got to look at. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Joe's experience here. He came to me. He was looking at doing domain flipping, buying and selling. What was it like for you when you got your first domain?
Well, I initially had gotten interest in it. After starting to take your affiliate marketing courses, I realized that you had mentioned something about domain flipping, and I was very curious about that. So I actually bought my first domain in the golf niche. I went back and forth. Maybe I undersold myself because I was so excited at first, and that can happen to a lot of people. I took the first offer that they gave me, and I was like, oh yeah, a big win, but I'm sure I could have gotten a lot more for it. That was my initial start. That was my first sale.
And what did you pay for that domain?
That domain I paid $300 for, and I sold it for $1,800 because I wanted a round number of $1,500.
Okay.
And again, I'm sorry, this is just before I knew what I was doing, and that was before I even took your course.
And now how did you know, okay, I'm doing domaining, I mean, unless you're a billionaire, which I don't think so. I'm not either, so we're good there. How did you know it was okay to risk the $300 on that domain?
I'm a golf aficionado. I play golf. It's a huge industry, and there's also a part of I really didn't know the true value. I only went by what GoDaddy was valuating it at. But the golf niche is huge.
Well, and you bought it at auction.
I did.
So the guy below you who bid $395, it's worth at least $295. It's worth at least $295.
Exactly.
So the odds, and this is what I look at, is what are the odds I will get my money back? Even if I'm buying a $9 domain, what are the odds I'm going to get the money back? And we're going to talk about how to know the right domains and everything like that. And I think what a lot of people miss when it comes to domain buying and flipping is the cash flow. You are running a business, so there has to be something happening. The guy who had the $48,000 domain and sold it for $8 million, okay, nobody does that. I haven't done that. My biggest win to date was an $11 name I sold for $25K. That was less than a year later. It was kind of a fluke. Doesn't happen all the time, but we do get little wins, which we're going to talk about in this. But overall, it's about cash flow, because if I'm not making $60K a year, I'm losing money just in registration fees. I have about 3,000 domains. So understanding that and looking at that is key. I think a lot of people don't look at this like an actual business, and I think for Joe, looking at this like an actual business is going to be key. And I think that's something he can learn here as well, is you're sitting on 600 domains. Okay, that's registration fees, but let's start moving them even at the risk of losing out. Like the guy, okay, if he didn't wait for $8 million for 8 years, okay, he's losing on his 48,000. For the vast majority of people, we can't afford to do that. Even with little ones, for the vast majority of people watching this, you don't got $60K a year to just keep registering domains that may or may not sell. So looking at that, I think, is key. And looking at the fact that right now, Joe is profitable. He has made money on the ones he's sold, and he has 600 others that can sell as well. Now, according to the domain appraisal tool, it's worth, his entire portfolio is worth about $628,000. We're going to learn why that is completely fabricated out of GoDaddy's fabrication places and how that works. So looking at that is key, and we want to make sure we look at this in a real world way, because we don't want to get top heavy in I'm spending a bunch on domaining and I don't have anything to show for it. Lucky for you, you had those wins in the beginning, you made your 30K, now you have a portfolio. Now what? Now what do we do? Do we just sit and wait for these to sell? Do we put them at auction? Do we contact people? What do we do? So that's very important. Now the first thing I want to go through is looking at domains in terms of two types of value. First value is the name only. Like when I go through and I look at something like wpcity.com, right? We go to Dynadot and it says it's worth $8,785, We go to GoDaddy, we see they say it's worth about $4,900. Now, before I go any further, Joe buys domains mostly, if I'm correct, to resell the name only.
That's correct.
Not so much SEO.
Correct. I have, I'm focusing more on SEO now, but I do actually will buy them for the aesthetic.
Got it. So WP City, you see it at auction, it looks good. What are you willing to pay for it?
Something like WP City, I would probably be willing to spend upward of about maybe $1,000 to $1,500.
$1,000 to $1,500. So you would have lost the auction.
Right.
This one cost me $3,000. Now, as we stand, I bought the domain. I have value in the domain. Nobody has offered me anything for it in the last couple of years. I have not actively tried to sell it. Joe would have been the smarter money investment on this one because he would still have his $1,500. I'm out $3K. However, I bought this one to turn into a business. Now, while this says it's worth $4,900 and this says it's worth $8,500, based on these numbers, would that change your $1,000 to $1,500 at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's basically what the, like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What do you want to do with it? Just because it looks pretty doesn't mean it's going to sell.
Exactly.
And that was the trap that I fell into before I started taking your course.
Got it. So a lot of those domains you bought were before.
Yes,
Got
my
it, okay.
affectionate name for them, they're just dogs.
Okay.
And those are like the ones that you would sell maybe for $50 to $100 if you're lucky.
Which, if you could, that would boost up your money. Like
Yes.
that would get you an extra $15,000 if you sold half of them at $50.
Right, and if I can say that's the trap that most people fall into, is they will sit on the domains hoping for a golden payday, and in the meantime, you might be able to sell it for $500 or even $300 and still make your money back. But you got cash, now it's in your account, and now you have more, it's a cash flow that you can buy other domains with.
Absolutely. And I think also what a lot of people fall into is trying to sell at auction. So like they'll buy it. Like I could buy WP City. I bought it on GoDaddy Auctions for, I think it was just a little bit over $3,000 with the fee. So it's like $3,020 or something. If I went and put that on GoDaddy Auctions tomorrow, chances are I would probably get what I paid or less, because you're selling to the same pool that you're buying in, which is not always the best. What we want to do is we want to buy things in the pool where there's investors and then resell it. Like if you go out there and you buy a house as an investor, you're thinking different and you're looking at different things than if you're buying it to live in. Obviously, if I buy it to live in, I'm like, okay, this wall needs to be here and it needs to be pretty. If I'm buying for investment, I'm looking at what's it going to cost to fix it, flip it, boom, we're out. So I'm looking at it different and my valuation is different. Understanding that with domains is key. And that's where we get into the SEO value, which is what is this worth in terms of rankings and traffic. So WP City was a double whammy. This is why I was like 3K, yes. Joe would be like 1,500, I'm out. Why I was like that was because I knew, okay, this had rankings in Google for different things related to WordPress, which ties into hosting, which is an expensive market. And we can see here, it ranked for like WooCommerce and Elementor and WordPress categories and all kinds of things, even stuff about Fiverr. So looking at this, I'm like, okay, double whammy, I can turn this into a business, build it up, sell it. So that's one of the things we look at as well. SEO, brand name. Now, is there ever a time, Joe, when you see a domain and I'm like, oh no, we are not touching this one with a 10-foot pole?
Oh, absolutely. And I have the luxury of using different appraisal tools and SEO tools. So most people out there don't, and that's okay. I started just like you with no tools and no experience. But yeah, there are ones that I would just stay away from. Yeah, just because it's a pretty name, again, doesn't mean it's going to sell. And then there are ones that I've sold that I have oddball names, things that are just I bought just thinking that maybe I'll get a couple of hundred for it, and I ended up turning it into more. Again, as you would say, that's not typical. That's not the typical experience. You just really have to do your homework, and you have to be very, very scrutinizing.
And looking at it, you bought 600 domains plus.
Yes.
And you sold 20.
Yeah, about 25.
25. So the odds are, like, one, as a business person, I'm like, let's figure out what those 25 are and how that works. Two, How do we not overpay? So a couple things I look for. One, there's a term in our industry called domain squatting, which is much like real estate squatting, where you go in a house you don't own. Domain squatting would be buying a domain for the purpose of selling it back to the person who wants it, right? The person who has the brand. Like if I got Joe's name, Joe's full first name and last name, I'm not buying that for me. I'm buying it because I'm going to sell it to him or someone else with his same name. That is an ethical bad area. You could, like there have been cases where, the person is like, hey, I own this business, you bought the name. It's clearly only for the business. Like the difference would be I get, Elementor WordPress plugin. Okay, that's specific to the Elementor WordPress plugin. If I got the .com for that, obviously I'm stepping on their toes of what they built. If I get something like WP City, that's broad. There was no trademark. It was a site about WordPress stuff. There's a billion sites like that. It's not super specific brand name stuff. So, and I bought it for the purpose of building it as a WordPress site, not building it around their name. Like if I built it around Joe's name and I'm like, hi, I'm Joe, the IT guy. Here's what I do. Obviously, I'm piggybacking on his. Second thing we want to watch for is trademarks. So don't do domain squatting. Don't do trademarks. These can literally just erase your investment overnight, because if they find, hey, that's my trademark and you stepped on it, you could just give them the domain and get nothing. Very, very bad area there. There's plenty of tools. Just Google, trademark search engines or whatever in the country you're in. You'll find out about those. Always do that before you bid. But domain squatting is definitely not something you want to do. Trademarks are something not to do. Now, what about TLDs? Like there's .io, there's .xyz, there's .ai, there's .everything now. I mean, there's probably even a .bowling for bowling enthusiasts. How do you treat this?
I actually, I don't buy anything other than .coms unless the name prior to the TLD is something that AI related. So the reason for this is because of the renewal. Most people don't know that .AIs and maybe even .IOs, they could be upwards of $80 just to register them annually. And if you don't sell that, guess what? Maybe you've got a whole slew of .AIs and you're not selling them. Guess what? You're on the hook for that registration if you want to. Otherwise, you just wasted the money that you used to buy it in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah, and those are things where you look at like, okay, who has the cheaper registration fees? Sometimes you can get them cheaper, and sometimes when you register up front, it's like, oh, this domain's only $20. Yeah, but it's $89 every year after that. So you could have like a little grace period of a sale or whatever. So looking at that, again, I'm going to use that, and we'll talk about where we find them. I use Spamzilla, which is a great tool. I think that's what you use as well.
I do, yeah. Just to add on to what you were saying before, I don't know if anybody out there who's doing domaining has noticed, but these registration fees are slowly starting to increase year after year. GoDaddy, Namecheap, and if you don't keep your eye on that, you will be underwater.
Absolutely.
But as far as Spamzilla is my number one tool for researching. They're very accurate in terms of finding good domains. There's a lot of junk in there too, but their filters are great. Once you start setting your filters, you can, drill down on what you really want. And for me, it's .coms, US, definitely focusing on SEO. Have to have rankings. Unless it's a super pretty domain, I stay away from the aesthetic. That's what I call them.
Yeah, and sometimes like this one here I just found about articles. If it has backlinks, that would probably be a good one to get for $1, although it doesn't, so it doesn't. And a lot of times you can find them. Most of the domains I buy are less than $50.
That's a great talking point. Okay, talk about backlinks. A lot of the ones that I've seen, their backlinks are garbage. Can you kind of educate everybody watching what you would classify as a good backlink?
Absolutely. So a backlink is basically, if you went to college, I didn't, so I had to learn the hard way. In college, you'd write a research paper. And in the research paper, you would have references. And if a professor was there and he's like, hey, everyone is referencing Joe as the domain guy, well, then Joe must be the domain guy. Google works the same way. The more websites that link to Joe saying Joe knows his stuff about domains, the higher he's going to rank for stuff related to domains. Very important. And when we look at that, what that's called is a backlink. That's a link that's coming into you from a different website. So we can see here, the first one is Affiliate Marketing Dude. I link to my own value calculator here. Okay, that's the number one. And then you could see other stuff. We have a link from WordPress.org, from different member sites, and all kinds of things like that. These are worth value to me and worth money to me because it helps me rank. So if I'm building a new website, I can rank this one in days, whereas a new website might take months or years to get picked up. Very important that we use them for what they were intended for. Like I wouldn't take this WordPress site and make it, how to train your horse. It's not about that. We need to focus on exactly what it's about. And that's where we're going to get into buying and building versus buying and holding, where if I buy and build something, I can actually build it, make it worth more money, make money while I'm waiting to sell it, which is my favorite business model because now I'm actually building something of value that we can use. Now, let's go into a little bit of the appraisal tools because let's face it, if I find this one and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a domain I can get for $1, I'm in it $12 with the fee, and GoDaddy says it's worth $4.58.
Mm-hmm.
Should I not buy that right now? I mean, it's worth $4.58.
Can you just to backtrack? What would a garbage backlink look like?
A site that's junk or something with like SEO in the domain name, where obviously it's like a farm of links.
Would you see ones with with Russian language or
some of them
Chinese
will be
language?
In different languages. Doesn't necessarily mean it's junk.
Mm-hmm.
You would just need to check. Now, what I do is I'm looking at the ranking power. So before I look at the backlinks, I want to see what it ranks for. Like if I go over here and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, we are literally ranking for something that gets 1,000 searches a month. So GoDaddy Domain Club, I rank number 62. This is not even about GoDaddy Domain Club, so that shows me this is powerful enough to get it without trying, which means if I try, I'll probably get a top 10 on that.
Right, that's become part of my strategy with Ahrefs is looking at the top pages. If there are no rankings, I try to stay away from those.
Yeah.
That doesn't really help me because I've been focusing on buy and build.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're going to be talking about that a little bit, but that's a shift in my strategy.
So again, back to the appraisal tools and everything like that. If the beginner domain buyer,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get excited like you did. You're
Of
going to
course.
buy a ton of stuff. So like this domain, something about articles, it's $4.58. Would you immediately buy that because it's $1? I mean, aren't you going to make $400?
No, because you're taking GoDaddy's word for it.
Got
it. We discuss this all the time. I mean, what do you want to do with the domain? Do you want to build it out? Who's looking to write articles? Because to me, the article pinch looks like, I don't know, maybe it's about reviewing articles, or maybe it's a blog site. Mm-hmm. And what are you going to blog about? Yep. It's very generic, but I wouldn't buy that.
Neither would I.
Yeah, I would not buy that.
And I actually did a test before this call, and I was thinking about like, what if we took all the domains that were sold recently on Namecheap
Mm-hmm.
and ran them through the GoDaddy appraisal to see, hey, is this thing even accurate? Like this one here, and we see this, something about soap operas or something. I don't even know what this is about, but it went for, they're saying it's worth $9.68. If we were to look it up here, I think it shows up on here, probably down here somewhere, but it was in the above 1,000 range.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have even thought to buy this one.
No.
There it is. So this sold for $3,000, and it says it's worth $9.68. So in that case, GoDaddy looks like it's way off. Now here's another one where GoDaddy's off as well, and we see they say $9,000. It went for 13, and this is the auction price, not the out in the open price, which is kind of interesting. So looking at some of these, like this XYZ one, okay, that went for $4,000. GoDaddy says it's worth $9,000.
Mm.
So there's discrepancies here, and I think a lot of it is understanding the why. Why would someone want this domain versus this domain? what would be the reason? And when you understand it, it's like, okay, maybe I can get something like, Oklahoma mortgages or something like that. Maybe that would be valuable. Or maybe even something like cheapermortgages.us or .com or whatever. Looking at these, you can start to understand, okay, these appraisal tools are all over the place. They're not, I would never buy just on the appraisal tool alone.
Agreed. Absolutely not.
I would buy based on what's out there. Now, if you are going to use an appraisal tool, I think Estabot is the best bet to save you from spending a bunch of crazy money on things that you think might be good.
In my opinion, it's the most scrutinizing one.
Yes.
So that one is in layman's terms, gives you the brutal honesty about the value. GoDaddy can overinflate. Dynadot can absolutely overinflate. And what I usually do is I take my Dynadot valuations and I slice them into thirds. So a third of whatever the number is, that's what I'm looking at in terms of what I feel it should be valued at. And even then, it may not be that number. So.
Yeah, and we actually have a tool on my website that does, you enter the Dynadot, you enter Estabot, GoDaddy, and it'll calculate based on what I give the weight to them.
Which website is that?
It's on Affiliate Marketing Dude.
Okay.
And it's based on my weight. So you said you go with a third of Dynadots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually a little less generous. I'd go with like 10%.
Okay.
And then I'm going to factor in, does it rank? Who would want it? What's it going to be worth? Like the article one, okay, there's a million other words you could put with the word article. And, it could be anything. Like I could literally go to ChatGPT and say, give me 250 domains with the word article that are less than 9 letters long or whatever, .com only. It'll spit them out. I can go buy hundreds of them today that GoDaddy and Dynadot says are worth thousands. I get them for $9. Does that mean I literally just made thousands of dollars? No. Will there be one in there that would sell? Maybe. Could I lose a bunch of money? Most likely. How do I know what to go in, what would work? What would be a word that would go with article? Article writer.ai. That's going to be worth money. Article writer, article spinner, different types of words with article that make sense with it. Whereas, this is just something cute like article whatever. Okay, I want to go in and I want to find something that's going to fit. If I got like mortgage happy, okay, yeah, that might show something here, but at the end of the day, is it actually going to work? So if I did mortgage happy, and this is a little test I did as well, where I would take popular terms and put random numbers after them, and the tool's going to say it's worth money, and I know it's not worth nothing. So looking at mortgage, let's go through here, $3,300. Okay, let's see what GoDaddy says. $1,600. Is it available? Right, you just go to GoDaddy and see if it's available. You can kind of see from there, like, okay, what is it actually valuing? It's valuing the word mortgage.
Correct.
So is it actually a valuable domain? Probably, it's probably more risk than value, in my opinion.
The value is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
To coin a phrase. And, I've had one specifically that we were talking about that combined two words, as elevate and evolve. And when I looked at it, I bought it for $5 plus the $15 registration fee. I sold that one for $5,000.
Nice.
Again, those results are not typical. Just, it was a gamble.
Yeah.
Okay, but that was just something I thought, hey, it was a crafty name. Somebody might want that for a technology site. That's what I was thinking. Legitimately, that's what was going through my mind. I took the risk, and this time it worked in my favor. But now I try to use those. Even GoDaddy's got the valuation tool, but you can look at the comparable sales. Like if you're buying real estate, there's comp sales. Yeah. So see, maybe depending on what is sold prior, you can base your decision on what you want to buy by using those comps that GoDaddy gives you.
Yeah, and I think an interesting question would be also, because I find you, based on name alone, to be more risky than me.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I've been doing this a long time. It's an interesting place to be where you'll look at this golf name or whatever and you'll be like, sure, $500, no problem. I'll look at it, I'll be like, no backlinks, $100 is all I'll spend on it. And I hardly ever buy them just because of the name, unless I find something that's really solid. Let's say you put the history before you came and learned the domaining from me, take those domains out, how many have you bought that were like more than $50 that you resold? Was it a much better percentage?
After taking your class or before, did you say?
After, because I noticed that before you were like, hey, let's buy all these $9 domains. These look good.
Yeah, I was going to Vegas.
Yeah, after.
That's what it was like.
Yeah, and after you're like, I'm gonna get this golf one's cool. Let's spend 3 on that, and let's do that. How many of those, when you buy them, you're like, okay, it'll sell, and it actually does?
A much lower percentage.
Okay.
I'm much more scrutinizing. I'm hoping I'm answering your question, but I'm very meticulous now about looking at the rankings, the backlinks, and so I'm not just buying pretty names anymore.
So of the 25 you sold, how many of those were the meticulous yes? Like from that point, like you bought 300 domains before, 500 domains before at the bargain bin or whatever, and then you learned, okay, now I'm going to scrutinize. Of the scrutinized domains you bought, was there like 50, 100?
Probably about 35 to 40.
Okay, so 40. So you're literally a 60% have sold.
Yep.
And you're still sitting on the others, which can probably sell as well.
Absolutely.
And you bought them at auction, so the chances of getting it back is pretty good. Again, at this point, you've got nothing back on those other 20, but you did profit on the whole lot.
Right. My strategy is reconsidering and reworking it is, I'm not looking for the $5,000 sale. It's cash flow.
Yeah.
You come down, sell them a little bit cheaper, try to make a little money on them, get some cash flow in, and then you can actually put that towards buying good, solid domains that will sell.
Awesome. Yeah, and I would say that because I buy for SEO and building, I'm buying a far bigger number of ones that you probably wouldn't go for.
Yes. Yep.
Because it's just a different strategy.
It is.
And I think that a lot of people need to know what you're getting into and what's valued, because if I can get something, build it up and sell it as a business, that's going to have more buyers than, oh my gosh, I want this specific golf term. You're going to have a more broad audience there. Now looking at this, when we look at buying and building, so that would be like on the WP City one, I bought it, I built it up, I'm building a big blog about it. I've done this on several others. Looking at that is a good strategy, because then you can make money with affiliate offers, you can build it up with ads, all kinds of things like that. Another thing is buying and holding, where a lot of the times Joe and I will just buy domains, sit around, someday someone from GoDaddy will contact us and say someone wants to buy your domain.
Precisely.
When that happens, you usually get a good, decent payday because they're looking for you direct. I would say 10% of the sales probably fall through. Like they're interested, you negotiate, and they just disappear.
Yes, I guess because of the volume, you've had that happen a lot more than I have. But it does happen. I mean, not everybody, a lot of people are just, for lack of a better word, they're just looking for a garage sale price.
Absolutely.
And again, you have to really, if you're a domain investor, you have to look and see what they're offering versus what you paid, and you can't have big britches. You have to put your ego aside, and if you have to take 500 instead of 5,000 because you think it's 5,000 but it's really not, that's something to consider also. You really need to put pen to paper and figure that out.
Absolutely, and understanding that we want to do the research. So like the minute I get an offer, I'm going to research that domain and see what is it actually worth, what have things sold before I get into it. And I think that's super important. Now, as far as selling, I mean, a lot of people think it's buy at auction, sell at auction, which I think is the worst thing to do.
Yes.
Because you're just buying to the same people who sold it. Like if I bought my house and tried to sell it the next day, unless I got some fantastic deal, it's not gonna make me any profit.
Agreed.
Now that's different because a house asset is way different than a domain. A domain could be completely worthless one day and worth a lot the next day. Like the one I bought for 11 and sold for 25K, that was a fluke, but I have sold quite a few over the years. this is just a small snippet of just the GoDaddy ones. There's others as well. But understanding like this is a business, it's about cash flow, and sometimes you have to take a hit on the ego, like Joe said, to get cash moving. And I think you're going to find that with those 25 or 20 others that you're sitting on. Like, okay, it's time to get them moving. It's time to get something for them, because 20 grand in the pocket is better than no grand in the pocket.
Right, and we touched on the re-up fees. Those domain fees are really they're going to crush you over the course of a year. You might not get hit all at one time, but over the course of a year, I know there was a few months ago, I purchased a whole slew of them, and every day I was getting hit with registration fees. Re-up, you want to re-up, do you want to re-up? And it can be, it can cost you into the thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
It's something to be very wary of and very scrutinizing when you're actually sitting on these domains, waiting for somebody to call. You may not want to do that. Mm-hmm. But I also do not auction my domains.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never sold one at auction. Because like Marcus said, you're just selling back to the same pool of people who want to buy a bargain.
Yeah. Now you can sell them, like if you build them up SEO wise, you can sell them on like a flippa auction,
right,
as a business. Another thing to look at too is outreach. Like sometimes you can go and you can find them. Like I bought a septic tank domain in a local area. We can go to septic companies in that area as long as it's not business oriented, like Septic California, good. John's Septic California, bad.
Right.
So looking at that, the septic one had rankings. I know that septic repair companies charge a lot of money, so that one was worth money if I go and find those people, or rank the thing, put ads on it, and eventually someone will be like, hey, I want to buy this domain. Usually.
Yes, I do have a handful of domains that are geographically focused. And
that's another tip too, is going to a tool like SpyFu, look at what septic Fresno cost. What are advertisers paying? Because oftentimes if they're paying $10 a click to sell that domain for $1,000, usually isn't much of a stretch. Now again, nothing is worth anything till you have a buyer. Right now I'm sitting in my office house. There's a price I paid. It is worth nothing today because there's no buyer. Theoretically on paper it's worth X amount, but again, when you look at it like a business, I don't have anything till I have a check in hand or fee in hand, or however it works, which is important. Now another thing, when you're looking at outreach, this is where you would just go out to businesses that might want your domain, right? You have the golf domain. Is there a guy who makes golf clubs in that certain thing? Yeah, maybe we could sell it to him or whatever. Again, not doing cyber domain squatting, not doing trademark stuff, keeping it real, keeping it terms about things like mortgage repair, good. Rocket Mortgage, bad. John, the mortgage guy in Fresno, bad. Cheap mortgages today, good. Looking at these are really good. Now, another thing that I haven't done as much as I want to, but I'm going to start to do because I have a domain portfolio of about 3,000, is domain parking. Parking is where you put a placeholder on the domain and it tracks the traffic and things like that, and it has a little sales message. You'll see companies like Huge Domains do this, where all the domains they have point to the page to buy the domain. Does kind of the selling for you, which is cool. Now, does that mean you will get sales? Yes and no. Like I've gotten a few random sales on one that I use, and it's not even a parking page. It just happens to rank for the domains because I have them listed there. I am building a script that'll do parking the way that I want. So that's something to look at as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Parking is something I've never tried, but I can definitely see the potential in that. I want to actively get more aggressive with doing that, but it's something I've seen. I never really thought about it too much and thought about the strategy. So forgive me for that, but I can see the value in it.
Absolutely, and I think looking at the stats, because right now I'm sitting on a bunch of domains I don't really have stats from because they're not hosted. They're just basically making whoever I registered at them money because those are the ads that are on there. And sometimes you might not know that there's traffic And I mean, I had a friend years ago who did domain parking, and he made a fortune just putting affiliate offers on the domain. Didn't even have a website. He just put, okay, this is a mortgage one. We'll just redirect it to a mortgage offer. Now, with the new affiliate laws, probably not a good idea to do that because you need a disclaimer and affiliate disclosure. Hey, I'm making money, and having your own site's going to be better anyway. But you can do different methods of parking. For me, I'm going to have click here to learn how to build a blog business, and then click here to buy the domain. I think having it a checkout, and you can either set a price or you can have them contact you. If you have them contact you, you're probably going to make more money. So looking at that's important. Now let's look at the key success patterns of okay, I'm out there, I want to buy domains. What do I look at? First of all, how much do you rely on trends, AI, crypto, renewable energy, new political thing like the one that I got that sold for $25K? That was a current event. It was about the national debt. It was a fluke. I bought it because I was going to use it for some idea I had that never panned out. I almost didn't register it again, but they called, and I negotiated it from $1,800 to $25K, and that was a good one. That was a trend-related one that I got. I wasn't really planning on it. I wasn't buying a lot of domains at the time. How do you treat this?
That's huge. Oh my God. Trends, if you have a domain that in an industry or a field that's trending, crypto, AI are huge right now. Mm-hmm. Very hot. I've sold a few. Nothing like $5,000, but I use trends to guide my purchasing decisions as far as what domains I'll buy and which ones I stay away from.
In hindsight, I should have jumped on the .ais. I wish I would have. And there's still a lot of AI ones.
I have a handful. I'm sorry, Marcus. I have a handful of those, but those are very few and far between. I still try to. My TLDs are strictly .com mostly.
Well, and .com is and always will be the king.
Yes.
Like if you have the same exact word .com versus .ai, chances are the .com is going to go for more, unless there's hype involved. Because sometimes things do get hyped up. Like the NFT market got hyped up, and a lot of it was now I got a digital monkey I paid 80 grand for that's worth nothing. Mm-hmm. Okay, good luck with that. That was something I didn't get into because I didn't understand it. I never invest in things I don't understand, which could be a flaw. I could have made a lot on Bitcoin stuff, but I didn't understand it at the time, so I didn't do it. It has kept me safe from things, but it's also, something that in hindsight I probably should have paid more attention to. Domain buying, same kind of thing, looking at industry focus, insurance, finance, tech domains. These are premium domains that have a good resale value. Are you sticking to one thing, or what do you look for?
Like I said, right down SEO focus. So I use my trends, my trend awareness. I'll do my research, but as far as the buying, I'll look it up on Spamzilla. Mm-hmm. I'll actually do the due diligence, go use Ahrefs, mm-hmm. Make sure they got backlinks, make sure that they have top pages. But to be honest with you, currently I'm not married to one specific trend or topic.
Got it. And I think also number 3, this is where a lot of people, you ever watch Shark Tank where they're
sure.
I'm out. This is where a lot of people are out. Patience pays. In my list of 3,000 domain names, do I have a zinger that can make 6 figures? Most likely. Maybe. I'm going to say 50-50 chance. I'm sure there's some in there. Do I have a lot that are worth a decent amount? Sure. Am I willing to sit around and pay 60 grand a year just to re-up them hoping to find that 1 million? No. You're going to go broke. Most people will go broke trying to do that. I do have a system in place where I resell them to people that are looking to build up businesses, which keeps me going. Now, it's kind of a loaded thing where if I sell one to one of my students and it happens to be the $1 million one, I get bragging rights, which runs the rest of my business and racks it up because everyone's going to want to buy domains if I have one that had that. So I'm not too worried about it. Like if I sold one to a student, like we sell in the 5,000 range sometimes, and they do really well with it, then hey, that's pretty cool. Now we were actually talking to the guy on Tuesday. I was reading the chats for my live stream or live webinar. Tuesdays we have a class, and I was reading about this guy who bought a domain, and I'm like, oh gosh, he's probably gonna not like his domain or something. And I was surprised. He was like, no, I got this domain. I've been making like $900 a month on affiliate offers and ads, and I still have this domain that's worth money, and it's in the eye care niche. And I'm like, dude, that dude like did what I said, which really worked, where he's earning on it now. So now he's racking up, 900 times 12, about $11,000 a year. That's better than just paying $15 a year to re-register it or whatever. And now that's what I would look at. Like if I'm gonna spend over $100 on a domain, I wanna make sure this thing's going to make money. And it doesn't take much to make $100 a year on it or whatever. Again, results not typical, implied, or guaranteed. It takes work, there's effort. You're not just gonna buy a domain and poof, money's gonna come out and the genie's gonna grant you 3 wishes. But can I look at this smart? What can I do with it? With WP City, right now, do I make enough to make it worthwhile? I do, absolutely. I have one about video creation. Is it making enough? It's not monetized right now, but it does get the traffic to make it. So as soon as I, boom, hit go, we're ready to go. So looking at that is important, and looking at like, while I'm waiting, because unless you're the guy who could just sit around and just have your 48 grand sit there, we need to get these moving and making money. And I'll bet you, knowing the domain he bought, we talked about it earlier, dude had to have been making 6 figures a year or more just owning the domain and redirecting it. I mean, there ain't no 2 ways about it. That domain got type-in traffic. Looking at it, that's something that worked. So understanding it is key.
No, absolutely. You have to do your research. You have to be very scrutinizing. Don't be afraid, but be smart. Mm-hmm. Be careful of people who are spamming you. I've had a lot of people email me about a domain, and it turns out that I'm not sure what their ulterior motive was, because I'm, growing up in New York, I'm pretty, I'm always skeptical.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, very skeptical about, hey, buy this trinket. No, I don't think so. I need to do my research first, and I did. And it's that one person I'm thinking of. It's nobody we know, but his first name's Andrew, and I went to the website on his email, and it's like nothing. It's there, it's hosted, but it's nothing. And I'm like, well, what? So I replied back, here's a good example. I have a short email template. I want to know, okay, who they are, what they want to do with it, and why, and what's their offer. A good piece of advice I could also say is, he who speaks first loses, or he or she. What I mean by that is, don't be so quick to offer up a number first. Yeah. Try to get them to give you a number first.
1000%.
Because if they're serious, it'll give you a baseline to work off of, because they want your domain. Okay, sure, okay, you're anxious to sell it, but be very, very careful. Let them give you an offer first. If they're serious, like with my GoDaddy broker, they'll tender an offer, and then if you want to counter, you can go from there. But at least you'll know how serious they are. That's a big deal.
And also, I don't know if you do this method, but I do a fairness check of like sometimes I've had someone come to me and they're like, we will offer you $500 for this domain. And I will look it up and I'll be like, it's worth $500, and I'll just take it. Probably not the smartest. Usually if I counter them, I can get them higher.
Sure.
But sometimes that's all they got. I have had some where they're like, no, that's all the client will do. And I'm like, do I want to part with it? And to keep cash flow going, sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, hey, there you go. But I will say most of these started out as $300 to $500 offers.
Sure.
And they go up.
Yep.
Like this guy, I think, started at $100 or something. So usually I find that if it's an initial offer and they're like, someone wants your domain, they're starting at 500, usually they'll go 10 times higher.
Yep.
Usually. But don't get so excited to get a bunch. Like I know you go to the auctions and you ever see those ones where it's like $90 million for this domain, and you're like, dude, like, bro, no.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't pay that for all the domains. And sometimes people just get really silly with it. Much like the house market. Like you look at houses, and I remember there was someone down the road, they're like 800 grand. I'm like, it's worth 5, but they want 8. And 10 years later, they sold it for 5. And it's like, why would you do that? Most people do not understand money the way that entrepreneurs understand money. When you apply that to domain buying, you get a lot of excitement and hype and loss of money. Most domain buyers are losing money because they don't know what they're doing. And we have to really look at that and understand it. And that's why Joe and I have a course. I have an extra video over at downloadmynotes.com. I think I could probably talk Joe into giving you a snippet of the email template he uses and some other things to just help you understand how does this work. Because if you're buying domains without understanding all of this, you are probably losing money unless you come across some magical fluke domain. I see it all the time.
No, I'm more than happy to help. So whatever information I can share to the community, definitely. It's not an easy thing because I remember where I was 3 years ago, and yeah, I'd like to be able to help and educate people so that they can be successful with this too.
Yep. And this is just for full transparency. This is your barely even a part-time gig.
Correct.
Yeah, like you spend a couple hours or something.
Barely a few hours a week on it. However, the reason why I'm here is because I am going to be ramping that up and being much more focused on promoting the domains and purchasing ones that actually I can turn a profit with.
Absolutely. So number 4, research-driven. Successful investors use analytical tools. We're using Ahrefs. We're using the appraisal tools, but not getting overly excited. I have found on cheap domains, the appraisal tools are way high. On expensive domains, they're low. So where you see, oh, hey, this one's worth $4 grand, on GoDaddy, it might actually be worth 8. Where it's like, this thing's worth $4. If that, GoDaddy's gonna be like, oh yeah, 800, bro. This is a good domain. So looking at that and understanding, quantity over quality, and also I will tell you one other thing, backup plan. I always have a plan B. What am I going to do if I can't sell this for what I bought it for? I need to know with almost certainty I can sell it for what I bought it for, or I don't buy it. And Joe probably looks at it like, dude, you've been doing this for years. You have money to spend on domains. Why are you still so scrutinizing? Learn from that. If I'm scrutinizing and I can afford to buy these domains and I have buyers for these domains, then you should be way more scrutinizing than me. Looking at that and understanding it is key. Research-driven, and then quality over quantity. Joe has 600 domains. He bought 40 with the quality method. 25 of those have sold. And if he had just done that, he'd probably be way more profitable. I mean, I'm talking, you spent 15?
Yes.
Made 30. You probably would have spent 6 and made 30.
Yes. It's essentially, I wish I had you when I first started doing my domains, selling, buying them. And had I known what I know now, would I have sold them all? I don't know, but I would certainly be more profitable.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that now that I have the knowledge and want to pass it on, along with Marcus, you can be successful, but you have to be patient.
Yeah.
And scrutinizing.
And look at the backout plan. What am I going to do if I'm in a pinch and I need money? Like, looking at investments that way is important. Like, if I buy a house, okay, cash is tied up. What am I going to do if I need it? What's it going to cost me? If I buy a domain, cash is tied up. Like, that's 60 grand. I can go and buy ads and test out advertising. That could go longer than just registering domain names. But a lot of times in business, we are silly about money, but we're not willing to admit it. In business, we need to understand, I don't know what I don't know. There are certain things I just don't know. And it might be how to sell a domain, how to buy a domain, what it's worth, things like that, where people get excited thinking, oh, well, I know. And ego will crush you, because it's like, ego has nothing to do with domains. Ego has nothing to do with money. Money has never asked me how my day was. Doesn't care. Just sits there. And you either get it or you don't. And when you understand, okay, I need to be conservative, I need to run it like a business, and I need to be really smart with cash flow. Because if you're not smart with cash flow, you're going to go out of business. That's why most businesses fail, because of cash flow and not understanding marketing. In the domain world, cash flow will get you out. Joe buys too many domains, he gets too top heavy, they don't sell, boom, he's out. He's out. You've got to liquidate them or let them go, which is worse than liquidating them. And then you look at it, the second thing in business is what you don't know, right? You got to have the right cash flow and marketing. This is key. If you know cash flow and you know marketing, you can almost make any business work because you know marketing, that's the key. Why does McDonald's work? They have good marketing. Is their food great? No. Sad to say, the most successful restaurant in all of human history is McDonald's, which is barely even allowed to be called food, right? So why? Because of marketing. And when you look at this, if Joe learns the marketing angle, now I can take these domains and market them. So understanding those two things, I think, is absolutely key.
No, absolutely. And again, the key is to make sure you know what you want to do with the domain, as Marcus said. Have that backup plan. Understand what you want to do with it. If it doesn't sell, maybe if it doesn't sell in a year, should you build it out? Can you build it out? Just understand the niche that you're buying it in. Don't just buy any old domain because there's 100 people bidding on it. Yeah. Well, what are you going to do with it? Mm-hmm. What am I going to do with it? Know that up front. Understand the total costs, and you will be successful.
Absolutely. And if you can't afford them, don't buy them. Right?
Yes.
That's another thing. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Check out downloadmynotes.com for a full video on buying and selling domains, the email template. Some of the domains I own, I'll just show you the whole portfolio and you can see why I buy, and what I think about them and everything like that if you want to get into this industry. Smash the like button if you enjoyed this video. Our goal is to give you upfront, straight information so that you can go and use it. And then, if you decide later you want to work with me, you know where to find me. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Joe, for being here.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you in the next training.